All right, good. Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, we learned in this book called Likuti Torah, which was written by the first Rebbe of Chabad, we learned about what happiness can do. We started to learn what happiness can do. And we'll have to talk about that a little more, and the Rebbe will talk about that more. What is true happiness? And what true happiness can do. So happiness usually means when you do something that's really good and valuable to you. Right? You see people, their basketball team wins or their soccer team wins or something. It's my team wins. The other guy's team wins, you're not happy. You're not happy. Why not? It could be the same players. It could be they just switched players. The one team bought all the players from the other. They fired their own players, bought their own, right? Bought your players, and they went. You're not happy. What are you happy about? Is my team. It's my guys. But my team, my thing won. You win $1 million. Your next door neighbor wins $1 million. You're not so happy. It has to be yours, and it has to be something valuable, something that there was a little bit of tension there involved, and you got it, then you're happy. Something new. Usually it's something new, makes you happy. So ideally, you should be happy from life all the time. You should be happy, but you're not because you get used to it. And it becomes not valuable. It becomes like sort of boring after a while. But ideally, life is supposed to be happy because the fact is that every minute, it's a gift from brand new. Now, if you don't believe in God, you don't believe in a creator, so you can also be happy, but it's a little bit more difficult because you're not really connected to the truth. The truth is that God likes us, God loves us, He's creating us, and He's giving us life all the time, brand new, every second. It's this amazing gift that we're getting all the time. So that can make you happy. You can be happy. But especially, you can be even more happy if you can repay God for this. And even more if you realize that not only can you repay God, but that's the whole reason you're being created, is in order to repay God. So here we have this amazing creator that's infinitely good. It creates everything. And you can do a favor for him. Huh? Like, let's say, I don't know if anybody likes anybody nowadays, but if you have, somebody that you really like, and he asks you to do him a favor, and you're so happy, your father, children used to be happy to do favors for their parents, for the teacher. Teacher, who wants to go and bring me an eraser? I remember in school. I want to do it. You want to have a responsibility, something to do. So says the Rebbe, that's happiness. You got to think about it a little bit because we don't see God. We don't feel. It's not like seeing your teacher or seeing your parents. And you have to arouse a certain feeling of gratitude in your soul, which nowadays this is being, quenched. People that used to say pledge allegiance to the flag. I don't know if they do that anymore. They used to have God's name in the pledge to the under one nation under God. They don't give pleasure. They used to. Anyway, there used to be this thing of there's somebody greater than me, something greater than me. Now they want to make it in the world that I'm the boss. I decide everything. I'm the king. I'm God. But ideally that's not the case because it's not true. It's not true. Okay, so it says the Rebbe. Now here the Rebbe is speaking specifically to the Jewish people, but the Jewish people are supposed to bring this message to all men. Jewish people have something that no one else has, and that's called commandments. The commandments make God uniquely happy. They make God because the commandments are the will of God. They're the will of the Creator, the inner will of the Creator. That's why God is creating the whole world, that the Jews should do the commandments. When the Jews do the commandments, then that makes the whole world go around. That's why. It's like Henry Ford makes cars, Lama. Why does he make cars? So that those specific people that they know how to drive cars, they'll drive it and they'll like it. What about all the other people? What about all the other people? They're also, here God is creating the whole world, is creating everybody for free. And all he wants in return is the Jews should do the commandments. And if they don't do the commandments, he still keeps creating everybody, but it's not in a revealed way. It's not in a happy way. Like we see the world now is not a happy world. So the way to make the world happy is by doing the commandments. It says the Rebbe even more that if the Jews do the commandments and they're not happy, then there's a big punishment waiting for the Jews for that. It says, so you see a religious Jew and he's not happy. He's always miserable at the time. So you see something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. You have to be happy. Okay, so what says the Rebbe? This thing of being happy, that you're making God happy, and you have to think about this, what it means. Right? You win the lottery. You're happy or you're jumping all around, especially if you needed the money. Why? Because you became happy. But you became happy. But what if you could make somebody else happy? You could make somebody that's really, really important to you happy. Right? Your mother, your father. Like I say, I don't know if there is such a thing today. People think that there's someone more important than themselves. But if they can, right, some more, you make that person happy. Oh, you'll do anything for. Maybe there is that in evil, could be. Maybe an evil, on the side of evil there is. I don't know. I have to extrapolate. I have to think about it. But in any case, making somebody happy, oh, this is the greatest, right? This is the greatest thing, to make somebody really meaningful, really important, happy. I actually, helped, what's his name, this famous rock and roll star or something like that. He once asked me to loan me his pen, or to help him, get into the car. I really did it. I helped, who is it? Elvis Presley or somebody that I did it. This is like the high point in my life, right? These people, there's it's the high that you could do a favor for the person. Who knows? I don't know. Nevertheless, let's imagine there is such a thing like that. I remember Reb Mendel Futerfas, he told me that when they killed the king in Nikolai, they killed the king in Russia. When did they kill him? 1919 or something like that, 1920. I don't remember, not a big expert. Said that all the Hasidim were sad. He said, why were they sad? He was an evil person. But he was an example of what a king is. At least there was such a thing, of a king. You could use that for an example, that there was a person that everybody wanted to please him. Everybody wanted to do what the king wanted, So now it's also the same thing. Okay, so what's the point? What's the Rebbe trying to say? Happiness, simcha. Simcha, true happiness comes from doing what God wants and knowing that you're making God happy. This takes a lot of faith, but it's the fact. It just can only be perceived by faith. You can't perceive, but it's the fact. That's the fact. What are we going to get out of it? Happiness. You're going to go to heaven? It's not. If you think about that, you're not going to be happy. As long as you think about yourself, you're not going to be happy. If you're trying to make God great and God happy, then you're going to be happy. As soon as you think about what am I going to get out of it, that's it. It's like putting a little pin in a balloon. All the happiness goes away. Okay, says the Rebbe that there's another big advantage to this. This happiness, this positive attitude awakens love. It awakens love. It awakens your appreciation, your valuing the truth. Right, nowadays you say God exists. Maybe he doesn't exist. If he does exist, he's not good. Right, look at all the things he does. A terrible world. Look at this. Right, but if you realize how good God is and how good life is, and how good reality is, and how good it is that we can do what God wants, and we can make God happy, and we can improve the whole world every time you do a good deed, then you're going to have a more and more of a love and appreciation for God. And again, like I said, all the religions have sort of blemished this idea of God. God is like especially then you get to like Napoleon. These people, they're against all religions. But religion in general is a good thing because it makes you aware that there's something above you. But there's also, when you think that what's above you, that's God, that's not so. That's not so. But that's just the spiritual world. The essence of what God is that God is infinitely above. He's above the spiritual worlds, but he creates the spiritual worlds. But main thing is he creates us. And even more than that is he gives us responsibility. And when we do that responsibility, then we can appreciate God more and more. We can appreciate the creator. We can appreciate the king of all creation. Huh? That's the goal of Chabad Hasidut. That's the goal. That's the goal of Mashiach. That's why this is called the Torah of Mashiach, to appreciate the creator. Okay, so it says, touch something. I made something go wrong over here. 1 minute. Don't give up. 1 minute. Here we go. Oh, better. Okay, so how do we begin? How do we begin this mimer? We began the mimer by saying that sus tasis v'tagel, that rejoicing, the barren woman when she gathered her sons to her. And we said that in this case, the barren woman is the Jewish people. And she doesn't, why is she called barren? Because she can't arouse, the Jewish people don't have this true love of God, which is called masculine, powerful, unmoving, unconditional love of God. Deep, real, powerful, dynamic love of God in all situations, like Abraham had, like King David had. No matter what you did to them, they loved God. That's why there's so much. You read the Psalms, you see King David had so much trouble because God was testing him to see, I'm going to give you troubles. Are you going to love me? It's unconditional love. Right? No matter what happened to King David, he had this unconditional love. The same thing, that's called masculine love. Are we going to have that type of love? Because that's reality. That's what reality is. Huh? Just like nowadays, a person that doesn't care about himself. So that's a dangerous person, right? That's a suicidal person. That person doesn't care about himself, doesn't care about life. He can become whatever it is, a mass murderer or whatever. He doesn't care about life. A normal person cares about life. He drives on the right side of the street. He doesn't jump out of buildings. He doesn't hurt other people. And even more, he wants to help other people. He gets pleasure from helping other people. He gets pleasure from having a family, from helping family, giving charity. That's a normal person, right? Says the Rebbe, a normal person shouldn't not just love life, he should love the creator of life as well, and even more. Says, how are you going to get that? He says, by being happy. By thinking about that when I do something good, I'm making God happy, that makes God, and it does make God happy, then that'll make us happy. And that can be constant every moment. Okay, so that's what he said. Remember we learned that yesterday? So we said, if you can't arouse this tremendous deep love for God by means of thinking about God and desiring God and yearning for God, like King David did all the time, so then you have another option, be happy. And happiness is relevant to everybody. Maybe you can't arouse this awareness of God and this appreciation of God, that you have to be a truly intellectual person and have some idea of what it says. So it says you have to be happy. One way of being happy, says the Rebbe, is learning the Torah. The Torah makes you happy. That's what it says. Okay, so it says this happiness is mevatalas dinim. Happiness negates all the negative things because the or panei melech, because in the light of the face of the king is life. Masha inkin, which is not the case. Tachat asher lo avarata. If you did serve God, but you didn't do it in a happy way, lo avarata Hashem elokecha b'simcha. If you didn't do it in a happy way, nimshach ha'onish. There is a punishment alavonot on all the bad things that you did. Asher ein tzarich ba'oretz, etc. Everyone did something bad. Everyone at least did not fulfill the responsibility in some way. I mean, we owe God everything, and we don't give God everything. So it says, if you're happy in serving God, God overlooks any faults that you've got. And if you're not happy, then God doesn't overlook them. Similarly, Yuvan could be understood also here. Everything we said before, that there's a difference between a woman when she gives seed. Sha'az, then, Yoledes Zachar, she gives birth to a male child. Yoledes Zachar, of a woman, she gives seed. In other words, that's talking about the woman as the Jewish people. And giving seed is talking about meditating, contemplating. Not what meditate, okay, contemplating, thinking deeply about the reality of God, the creator, and how he took us from Egypt, and etc. And that arouses us in a tremendous love, which is called, that's masculine, a masculine love. And if we don't have that, then Yoldas, and if not, then Bain Ish Mazriya Tachila. But if we wait for God to give us an arousal that we love him. That's called a man, that God arouses us. That gives birth to love, which is like feminine. It's temporary and it's wavering. It's not as permanent as strong. Zeu davka, like I said, like the joke they say in America, honesty is the best policy sometimes. Right? Honesty, you're supposed to be honest all the time. The same thing, loving God. You're supposed to love God all the time. If you love God, then you're always going to be honest. You're always going to be pleasant. You're always going to be, how do you say, chaste and earnest and all these things. If you love the Creator, then you'll be honest. You can't be honesty is the best policy sometimes. When you feel that honesty is good, so you're honest. That's called loving God in a feminine way. Sometimes you're connected to your principles and sometimes not. Says the Rebbe, if you wait for God to arouse you and you're not working for it, then your appreciation of life, of truth, of honesty, and of love is going to be feminine. It's going to be only temporary. It can be easily swayed. But if your love of God comes from your thinking about him and meditating and trying and praying that God should give you inspiration, but you're doing the work from above, then the resultant love is masculine. But what if you don't have either one of them? Then the advice is happiness. Happiness from learning the Torah, like we said. Here we go. This is only when the light of God is drawn down, b'derech seder, in an orderly way, hadarga ishtalshlus. Then you love God you're trying to love God in a permanent way, then God answers you in a permanent way. If you're not trying in that way, then God answers in an impermanent, that's feminine. But that's talking about you doing something and God reacting. That's only, all of that is according to how God set things up, what's called Maimer Kavamida, the orderly way of serving God. That's who it is. That if it's the woman, if the Jewish people, they do the effort from below, then it says, then Achsher Dori, then the generation is a proper generation. In other words, there's a generation of religious Jews that they want to serve God properly, like it was, let's say, a certain amount of time in the first temple, the time of King Solomon at least. There's an arousal from below, then there's a drawn down from God, and a result that you get inspiration for a masculine love. Masculine of permanent, powerful love of God, great love, which is not the case, which is not the case if the Jewish people are not acting properly, they're not interested in God all the time, they're not trying to appreciate God all the time, and there's no proper arousal from below, then the way it goes, God's result, the resultant of reaction of God. What type of inspiration does he give you? Shenimshach, it's drawn down an arousal from above. It's only in the external aspects of God that says it only gives birth to what's called a female. Once in a while you love God, once in a while you'll appreciate God, which is not the case. That's the order of things, but you can break the whole order. You can be a person that does not think about God, and even if you do nothing, there's no result whatsoever, which that's like almost 99.99% of us. So what are we supposed to do in order to have some appreciation of God, some intimate connection to our Creator? He's creating us. We should have some appreciation about it. Not that it says what? Simcha. By means of simcha shel mitzvah, by means of being happy through doing the commandments. What do you have to be happy that you know that when you will do a commandment, you make God happy? This arouses this upper happiness of God. Then this happiness of God causes a revelation, or this is the light comes, the nimshach me'atzmus, from the essence of God's being. The tosvus ve'iloi rav. In a tremendous revelation, shaloka derech v'seder hadraga, and not in a normal way. Al derech duma, for instance, the simcha b'melech, for instance, a king, sheyotzi, when he goes out, chutz migidro, outside of his normal way, v'agbala hamidos, the king, like for instance, it says by King David, that when it says the police team, they took away the ark The story was is that before King David assumed power, as the ark was in the hands of the Pelishtim, that they conquered whatever it is, they destroyed the holy temple, and in Shiloh, no, is it in Shiloh? No, it was not in Shiloh. It must have been the holy temple in I think. All right, I have to look. Anyway, they destroyed the holy temple. This is where and I have to remember exactly when it was. Anyway, it was in their possession, and King David brought it back. He brought the holy temple back, and he was dancing, tremendously happy and dancing. I'm sorry, I have to look that up. I have to look it up. You got a point. I look. So he was dancing and he was jumping around. He was tremendously happy because he brought the ark back, the temple back, the tablets. He brought them back. So that's a type of happiness that had to be. The Rambam finishes off and says, Tov lev mishtatami, that you have to be happy all the time. The Shulchan Aruch, Tov lev mishtatami, you should always be happy because every moment God is giving the Torah. We make a blessing, notain Torah, that God gives the Torah, not natana Torah. Notain, God is giving every moment. So it says, therefore, if a person is happy, it doesn't make any difference who he is. A Jew becomes happy because he knows he's doing what God wants. So it says it's like the king goes out of his way. It's like the king his daughter gets married or something, or they bring back his son from imprisonment. That's why King David was happy when they brought the tablets back. And therefore, yochal litkalos, that can be revealed lakatan to a small person, just like a big person, b'shava mamish. And whether a big person, a big Talmid Chacham, a genius that is doing all the commandments, but if he's not happy, then, and a small person, a person small means he doesn't do any of the commandments, doesn't know anything, but he's happy, does a commandment, and he's happy, then God reveals a tremendous revelation. That's one of the reasons that the Lubavitcher Rebbe said we should go out and put tefillin on people, because it makes people happy. It makes people happy, and I'm a witness to that. Non-religious Jews, they put on tefillin, some even for the first time, and they feel good. That in any commandment, they feel good. Similarly, Lamaila above Mamish, revealing this upper happiness. Hine as mitchavrim joins together, umit arvim, umit kalim yachad, kala oros, all the upper lights. Ain shum hefresh, there's no difference between above and below. Like the king, when he's happy, so he's happy with everybody. Right? The king is happy, his daughter's been free all the prisoners. Give everyone free wine for everyone, like we had with Achashverosh just now, right? Achashverosh, everybody, Rav Kayara Melech, everybody gets whatever they want to, right? Free party, 6 months, everybody's happy, right? The Jews were inviting all the Jews, everybody, all of a sudden it became normal, kill all the Jews, right? But when he was happy, the Jews were his best friends. And so that we can make the king happy by doing a commandment. Now, this does not make any sense, but the commandments don't make any sense, and Judaism doesn't make any sense. And if you really think about it for one moment, reality doesn't make any sense. And the world doesn't make any sense, right? Science makes sense. It makes sense why E equals MC squared. That makes sense. That's the way things are, right? All the laws of Newton and all the laws of whatever it is, these people with the tremendous discoveries that they made, and these things make sense. They don't make, that's just the way it works. Right? Teacher, who passed the law of gravity? Can we rescind the law of gravity? That's just the way things are. Why is it? That's nature. Nature means things don't have any explanation. So the most simple things, what is gravity? What is light? What is this? No one understands. They don't understand what it does, but they don't understand what it is. Right? It's molecules moving. Where did the molecules come from? Who made molecules? Molecules are just molecules. That's all. There was always molecules. Right? Nature is not understandable. This is not anything. But here what we're trying to say. This is, according to science, just pure science. There's no place. Pure science. But the scientists, there's no place for faith. We got it all figured out. We have it all figured out. Well, that's ridiculous. That's not so. That's not so. Science is wonderful. We must use science. We have to use all of our abilities. But where is it all coming from? There has to be something above understanding. This is the thing above understanding. There's one point I sort of left out, and that is prayer. Before you start anything, being happy, thinking about God, the serving God, it has to start with prayer, even a small prayer. God help me. That's all. But God help me. God, I want to be happy. Please, God, give me happiness. God, I want to think about you. Help me to think about you. No matter what you do, you should start off the day, start off every moment. Of course, you have to do things. You can't just sit around praying all the time. But it has to be a small prayer that you're aware of praying to God before you do it. Whatever you do. Soldiers, before they go into war, they have to fight and they have to be trained. They have to be weapons and they have to be brave, but they should pray. First thing, they make a prayer, a small prayer. Even if they just say Shema Yisrael, that's what it says. Even if they only have the merit of Shema Yisrael, that's prayer is essential. You want to be happy, say, God, I want to be happy. But you'll see that things change. All of a sudden, it's different. Things in a very gradual way that sometimes you don't even notice it. Azai, then Nimshach is drawn down. She'af akara. Then if you have happiness, if you appreciate the Creator and you believe that when you do a commandment, it makes the Creator happy, then that makes you happy. Azai, then Nimshach is drawn down. Af akara. Even a person that has no ability to have love of God at all, no ability to think about God, doesn't even believe in God, has nothing to do. But if you're happy in doing a commandment, then tikvat's banea, then your sons will be gathered. Even though that you're in the level of being barren, and we said before that means that you totally depend on God giving everything. You're not doing anything yourself. In calls in, nevertheless, you will give birth to a tremendous, masculine, dynamic, powerful, permanent love of God. It won't come immediately, but it'll come. That's what the Rebbe is saying. Here it tells you where to look. That's what it means, that we say, and now he's going back. In the blessings on the marriage, sas tasis v'taga lakara, should rejoice and be happy, the barren one. And we said there's two meanings to this. We're asking God to make the barren one happy. Tasis, you should make happy. And we're praying, we are saying, Tasis, she should be happy. So one means Tasis means you should make her happy, God. And the other meaning of Tasis means that she should be happy. Tasis. That by means of us being happy, right? By means of us being happy, then we will gather our sons. By Simcha Shel Mitzvah, we will do it from above. That's what it means, that she will be happy. By us being happy from our serving God, our happiness of the commandments called Simcha Shel Mitzvah. Simcha Shel Mitzvah, by means of us being happy. One second, what do I get up to? Yes, okay. Al Yudei Simcha Shel Mitzvah, by means of us being happy, doing the commandments from below, She'akara, that the barren one, that's the Jewish people, but by that we don't have this love of God, but by means of happiness, appreciation, when we do the commandments, that we're making God happy, and that makes us happy. Tasis v'tagel ba'atzma, then that will make her, by us being happy doing the commandments, al yedei zeh, by means of this arouses by God, that God makes us even happier. Simcha Elyona. So Tasis means that we will be happy, she will be happy, the Jewish people, and Tasis means that you, God, will make her even more happy. Al yedei zeh, by means of this, Achar, Ata, you, God, Tasis, you, God, will make us happy. Akara, this is the idea of Simcha Tzion. That's what it means that the Jewish people will be happy. And that in general is the thing of the Mashiach. That's a general thing of the Mashiach has two functions. One function of the Mashiach is to bring Mashiach. As one function of the Mashiach is to arouse the Jewish people. So they should be happy doing the commandments. That's exactly what the Lubavitcher Rebbe is doing all over the world. Looking around for Jews, searching around for Jews in corners and who knows where, Jews that don't know that they're Jews, Jews that their mother didn't know, the grandmother didn't know she was Jewish, revealing that they're Jews, Jews that don't want to be Jews, and convincing them both, put on tefillin one time, see what happens. See what happens when you put on tefillin. All of a sudden they put it on, they get a good feeling. a pure feeling, a non-egotistical feeling. First time in their life, they're not thinking about themselves, they're not thinking about their enemies, they're not thinking about how to accomplish something, how to receive something, how to knock down something, to destroy something. They're just thinking pure, I'm happy to be alive, that I can serve the Creator. When that feeling comes, and that arouses the Jews from below, by means of our joy, won't be we won't serve our enemies. All the different changes that come, the different vicissitudes of life that make us leave our principles, all the elevations that we have and falling that we have from serving God, from big to small, Gama Nefila Bataivas, also in falling into all sorts of lusts and desires, right? Bribery, being bribed by the world, by money, by pleasures, who knows what. This is the idea of serving your enemies. All of this will be, and not fear also. You won't be afraid of anything. You won't be afraid of what anybody says. You won't be afraid of what happens, because you know that God is with me. But I'm doing what's good. All this is rak tachat asher lo avadat. All of it comes because you didn't serve God with happiness. Why aren't you serving God with happiness? Yesh, that you're thinking about yourself. So if you see a Jew that he's angry or that he's miserable, that this is it, so you should know that he's missing the point. He's missing the point. He's not serving God. He's somehow or other he's doing it for himself. But it's not too late. Anyone can change. He's doing everything. A Jew that does everything for himself, he can't be happy. Like I told you before, Rabbi Mendel Futterfas said, the cause for depression is you try to make yourself great. And that makes you depressed. And the cause for happiness is you want to make God great. From this, that you're thinking about yourself all the time, that makes you unhappy. And not only unhappy, but you're always, how do you say, on guard. You're always on guard. You're always worried somebody's going to do something to you. You're always because you're not sure of yourself. You're not sure of yourself. You're not sure of God. You're not sure of the Torah. You're not sure of the commandments. You're not happy. You're just doing it because, if something better would come along, you would take it. There is nothing better. Right? But happiness means that I'm not thinking about what's better for me. I'm just doing the truth because it's the truth. There can't be anything better than that. When a person has joy with God, there won't be any changes of up and down and etc. Here it tells you different places to look and etc. and etc. and etc. Eitz Chaim. Good. So that is that mimer. What did we learn? The best thing is to think deeply about God and then try to serve God, try to have love for God. If you try from below, that's called the woman arouses the man, God is the man, and then God sends you a tremendous inspiration from above. But if you don't do that, if you can't do that, and then you have an impermanent love of God, which is called feminine, or no love of God at all. And then what's the advice? Happiness of the commandments, happiness of learning Torah. And this happiness awakens the love and the proper appreciation of the creator of the universe, and you become a happy person, truly happy person. Okay, that is this mimer we learned. Now we're going to start the next mimer, and let's see, here we go. Okay, lam natseach ala shminis alamila shenitna b'shmini. You know what? Maybe we can, because this is talking about the bris milah. So I think that what we're going to do is let's start off on the first mimer. Here we go. Let's go back. Let's go back to the first one over here. Oh. Okay, we did this actually. We learned this. All right, let's try it. Here we go. Ready?
You sure?
Here we go. Isha ki tazria. V'yoldo zachar. This is the first mimer in Parshas Tazria. First mimer, very short. A little bit difficult, but we can do it. It says in the Gemara, Isha Mazras Techila, that's we just finished that. Isha Mazras, if the woman, she gives seed first, it gives birth to a male. Vazepeli says it. The Rebbe, it makes no sense. Why is it that if the woman, she gives seed first, then the child will be male, masculine? So it says a philosophim, the philosophers or the whatever the logical Jews, Nirchaku, they with great difficulty they explained. They don't really, with no other choice, they explain it like this: Ki lefisha isha mazris techila, because the woman gives seed first. Hare tipas azachar, therefore the masculine seed comes last, and therefore comes on the top. So therefore, that's the first one to come out is the male. And there was the example given. Rashi gives the example like if you have a tube, right? You have a tube, let's say like this, and you put in two balls. Maybe we can even do it. No, we can't. Okay, you put in two things. First of all, you put in a white ball. Here, put in a white ball, and you put in a black ball, right? And the end of the tube is closed, right? So you put in a white ball, and you put in a black ball. So which one went in last? The black ball. Which one, when you tilt it, which one comes out first? The one that came in last, right? So first one in white, and then it came in black. When you tilt it, what comes out first? The black one comes out first. That's what the philosopher said. The philosopher said that because the male seed went in last, so therefore it's the first one to come out and the child is a male, which is not the case if the man, he is the one that puts his seed in there first before the egg comes out, whatever this is, where the egg is ready. Says the Rebbe, that's an explanation. That they explain with Yaakov and Esav, it says that Yaakov and Esav, that really Yaakov was first and that Esav was last, but Esav came out first because he was really the last one, so he's really not the first. Okay. So that's one explanation. Omnam bad, but Emes really, who dochik? This is not such a good answer. Why? Kafi Lashon, because it doesn't really fit the language. It says that if a woman gives seed first, that implies that from her, that the woman, she is the one that causes the male to come. Not just because that the male came, the man's seed came last. Lo al yedei shezachar mazriya lasof. So it seems that if the woman gives seed first, then that's what causes the masculine to come, not because the man comes as the seed last. Okay. Or also the rabbis say, in the Gemara Nida, it says, Dina, Gabi, by Dina was the daughter that was born to Leah. It says, Bito, that Leah says was the daughter of Yaakov. Bito shel Yaakov. She was the daughter of Yaakov. What do you mean she was the daughter of? She was the daughter of Leah. I says no. Why? Gabi Shvatim, and says by Leah, ki isha mazres techila, that if a woman gives all the other tribes, the males, they came because Leah was the dominant one. In Cain, Mashma implies that the seed of the woman from that gives birth to the male. Not like all the philosophers said that because the male seed went in last, so it came out first. So the whole thing was when the male seed comes in. It says no. Which one goes in first? If the feminine seed is there first, then it's dominant, and that gives birth to a masculine. Why does a feminine seed give birth to a masculine? Why? Right? It says that all the tribes, the 12 tribes, the sons of Leah, they were the sons of Leah. But Dinah, that she was also the daughter of Leah. No, it says no, she was the daughter of Yaakov. Because Yaakov was the dominant one. Okay, so why is it if the male is dominant, the child is a female, and if the female is dominant, the child is a male? Why? And it's like this. Zachar hu b'chinas chesed. Masculine, this is from the side of what's called chesed. There is, the way that the sphirot are arranged, there's the 10 sphirot. So sometimes they're arranged one up below the other. Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, and emotions. Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzachot. But there's another way that there's three pillars. There's the ones on the right side, the ones on the left side, and the ones in the middle. Right now, the feminine side is usually the left side. The feminine is more severe. That's why women, they have menstruation with blood and etc. They're more under limitations than man is. A man is on the side of chesed. That's on the right side. That's the way the spirit would go. So it says masculine, that's the aspect of chesed. That's why we always call God in our prayers and everything masculine, because he's giving. God is always masculine, right? He gives. Baruch atah. We don't say Baruch at. Baruch atah. Why? Why do we say man? God is a man. It's not because we're chauvinistic or something like that. Because God is the giving aspect, and the giving aspect, that's the masculine aspect. That's the way right? And the feminine aspect is Mother Earth, the receiver. So that's gevurot. That's what's called severity. Dina de malchuta dina. It says that the law of the king is the law. Malchuta, but it says the queen, malchuta. Like it says al Sora, like it says on Sora, shebashat shebasra hamalachim. When the angels came, I want to make this a little bit bigger. That when the angels came, like Sarah, when the angels came and they told her that she was going to give birth to a male, parsanida. Therefore, that's when the blood started. That's gevurot. That's the feminine side of her. So the feminine side, somehow or other, that's what gives birth to the male. Huh? The feminine side, which is gevura, that gives birth to the side of the male, which is chesed. Why is that? Also, the rabbis say that Abraham, tziva latet lahem, Abraham said, give to them solet, which is good wheat, v'hi natnan kemach, and she gave to the angels when the angels came to visit Abraham after he circumcised himself. So it says that Abraham said he didn't know they were angels, so he said, give them the best wheat. And she gave a secondary type of wheat. Now, kemach. This shows that a woman ain't tzora ba'orchin, that a woman is stingy with the guests. Hainu why lafishi b'bichin is gevura, because women come from the side of gevura. That's blood. That's behine of vlad, the child, shneim, of both of them mazrim. When in order to have a child, both the male and the female have to give seed, right? The woman gives the egg and the man gives the sperm. Result, like the rabbis say, loven, the white is contributed by the father. Shemimeno atzmos, that from the white part of the father, the white seed of the father, there comes the bones and the gidim, all the white parts of the child. Odem, all the red parts, the blood and everything, that comes from the mother. Shemimeno or basar comes from it, the skin and the meat and things like that. But at first glance, this doesn't make any sense. How can they be united, these two things? They're two opposites. Chesed and Gevura, these are two opposites. They're on the opposite sides of that's like water and fire. If they're together, either the fire evaporates the water puts out the fire. They can't exist together. How is it that specifically male and female, they come together to make a child? So it says, the Indian is like this, that the 10 sfirot, kalulim, they include each one, mikulam, from all of them. V'yesh b'chesed, chesed shebechesed, and gevur shebechesed, and tiferet shebechesed. So there's what's called inclusion and harmony. It's inclusion and harmony. Everything that there is in the world is contained with 10 sfirot. All these 10, including the 10 sfirot themselves, the 10 aspects of everything. Everything has 10 aspects of it. Each one of those 10 aspects also has 10 aspects. Everything there is in the world has 10 aspects. So what are the 10 aspects? There's wisdom, the plan of the thing, and the fact that the thing is, and the limitations of that thing. Everything there is has all these can be analyzed into 10 different aspects: the intellectual aspect, the emotional aspect, everything that there is. So is also true with each one of those 10 aspects. Each sphera also has 10. So it says, if so, there is, let's say, for instance, love, chesed. So there is, inside of Chesed, there is all the 10 Sfirot. So there's Gevura, which is in Chesed. There's Tiferet, which is in Chesed, etc. But Cain also in Gevura, also in the power of Gevura, God's severity. There's what's called the kindness of severity. There's the severity of severity. We're going to learn about this in Sfirat HaOmer. We're going to be counting Sfirat HaOmer after Passover. She'em Zayin Midot, these are the 10 emotions. Each one of them has 10. Similarly, a father, if he hits his child, he wants to punish his child. Now, father is kindness, but he punishes his child. And why? Who machmas ahava? Because the father loves his son, so he wants to teach him. So Yishuv, so that he could come back to God. Hine afal pikein. Nevertheless, what's going on? What happened over here? What happened? Something is not working. What happened? Why doesn't it share? All right. Yeah. Okay. I just had a little sign pop up that said that everything stopped. Okay. Okay. So it comes out that inside Harizeh Gevura Shebechesed and etc. So the father, you say that punishing his son because he loves him. So this is the Gevura. That's the punishment of Chesed because it comes from the father. Similar, it says also by a woman, Et Asher Yohev, Hashem Yochiach, it says the one who you love, God reproves. The one who God loves, the one who God loves, he reproves. I'll tell you a story about that. Well, the Hepech and the opposite, Chesed Shebegavura, Hainu She'im, Hashpia Labana, Kol Tuv, if you give too much good to your child, Meniko Harba, then this is not to his benefit. So when male and female, when they unite, then what happens is the father, he gives from not his kindness, that's his aspect. His kindness is giving. The father, when the father and the mother unite, so then the father gives his gevura. The aim, and the woman, she gives her chesed in order that they can unite with each other. So the man gives to the woman what is relevant to the woman, namely gevura, and the woman gives to the man which is relevant to the man, which is chesed. Look, and therefore they're able to unite together. But if the father would give his kindness and the woman would give her gevura, her nature, then they wouldn't be able to join at all. Like in general, you want to make peace between two people, so each one has to give to the other one, right? They want to make peace between Russia and America. So let's say of America, he speaks some words of Russian. Oh, yeah, Russia, you see, you went out of your way. Then the one of Russian, he speaks a few words of English. Oh, you went, right? And the president of America, he sings a Russian song, right? This is a song I heard, I like it. Oh, very nice. And he sings an America song, my country, 'tis of the. Each one gives what the other one appreciates. So now we can understand this whole idea. If the woman, she gives seed first, it gives birth to a male because that was the aspect of the feminine that she gave in order to unite with the male, the masculine within the feminine. That's what she gave. Sha'ari Hashpa, what she gives this masculine aspect of hers, chesed, therefore it gives birth to a male. Shu chesed, which is not the case. If a man, he gives seed first, so his giving seed, that's this aspect of gevura. That's the aspect of gevura. Therefore, gevura is the feminine aspect. If he's dominant, then it gives birth to a female. If so, now we can understand what it says. If the woman gives seed first, then she's dominant. And what does the woman give out? She gives out the masculine aspect, which is within her to unite with the male. Then that aspect is what's dominant. What she gives is dominant. Namely, then it gives birth to male. Male. Not like the philosopher said that because the masculine aspect comes in last. This is not what it means at all. According to Kabbalah, the masculine is drawn from this name of Ma, and the feminine is drawn from this a numerical value of the name Ban, of godliness. Remember we talked about that? Ma is the numerical value of 40, 5. And ban is the numerical value of 52. And this is different ways of phonetically filling the letters of God's name. God's name is Yud, and then Hey, and then Vav, and then Hey, which is 26. And if you fill up the Yud, for instance, with Yud Vav Dalid, then the Yud becomes 20. Yud is 10, and Yud that is Vav Dalid, that's another 10. 6 and so filling it up. So if you just fill up the Yud, then it's 26, then it's already 36. So there's different ways of filling up the other letters so that it comes out to the gematria of 45. And another way it comes out to the says ma is that's more the masculine aspect. That's coming from above to below. And ban, that's the aspect coming from below to above. Iman, this includes inside of it all the other aspects of God. This also includes inside of it ban, the feminine aspect. The masculine aspect has inside of it the feminine aspect. And also the name ban, the feminine aspect, has inside of it, includes inside of it everything else, including ma, the masculine aspect. And that's what gives so the feminine, therefore, her contribution is the masculine aspect. That's what comes out of the feminine, comes out from her, the masculine aspect. So that's what's dominant. This is the Zohar. This is the name of ban, of ma. This is the ban, which is in ma, from ma, which is the feminine aspect, comes out ban, which is masculine. And from the feminine aspect comes out ma, which is masculine. So each one contributes the opposite of its main nature, but because each one, masculine and feminine, contain inside of themselves all the other aspects, so the masculine gives out the feminine aspect of him, and the feminine gives out the masculine aspect, and therefore this is the name ban, therefore it gives birth to a feminine. The male gives out this aspect of ban, the feminine aspect of his, and when that's dominant, then that gives birth to a feminine. That gives birth to a male. Isha, but a woman, that this is the female, that's the aspect of ban, we said 52, when she gives out first, that means that she's giving out, she's contributed the ma, which is inside of her, that's the masculine aspect, which is inside of her, then this gives back, lochen, you'll let us zachar, therefore it gives birth to a male. So that's how the Rebbe explains the language, and he explains how everything, the secret of harmony is to find what is common with you and the other person, even though you are two opposites, but you have to give what is common to the other person, and that's what should come out of you, what's common in the other person. Therefore, the male, when he's dominant, he gives the feminine aspect of himself, and when he's dominant, so he gives birth to a female. And the woman, she gives, in order to unite with the man, she gives the male aspect, which is inside of her, and when that's dominant, it gives birth to a male. Now let us do the Davar Malchut.